Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of The Human Side of Marketing. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your host, Kurt Stockwell.
Chris, how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Oh, thank you for the applause.
Yes, good. I love it. Hey, your background's changing.
My background's messing up. Ugh, it looks like I'm in a prison cell.
Yeah, you went from like the red carpet to like
I don't know.
Solitary confinement.
I've got this green screen thing because literally behind the green screen is like the most boring background you've ever seen in your life. I don't have a cool little space like you've got there, but Anyway, if it goes in and out, we'll have to roll it.
Green screens are fun because they're versatile. You can do a lot of things. Like this is like physical space.
Right.
But if I pulled my green screen over, I mean, you could change where you are all the time.
You could be underwater.
Yeah, right. I know, right? It makes it visually interesting, but sometimes it misses the why. It's lacking the why. Like, why do you have a green screen?
Right. Are you trying to set up our podcast today?
I was trying to make a transition. Yes, the why of things. Well, why is important. Simon Sinek came out with a TED Talk years ago, and then wrote a book, Start With Why, and then a new book called Find Your Why.
Yeah.
You and I talked about it at our Master Networks meeting last week. So what's on your mind about it? Because I got your notes and I was like, sweet, I want to hear what Kurt has to say about this.
Yeah. So if you're in marketing and you're in the kind of the marketing space at all, or just in business, I think it was in 2009 that Simon Sinek came out with this TED Talk, and it just blew up. He's, of course, wrote the book, Start With Why. And I've talked to a lot of people who have gotten on board with the idea that they need to find their why. I need my why. I need to find my why. People need to know my why. And Simon's TED Talk is very compelling. And if you haven't listened to it, I would highly encourage you to go check it out. And I think he's right on point with his message about Start With Why. But as I've kind of been in the space, the business networking space, I've met a lot of people who try to find their why and be able and articulate it. And I've found that many of them have a very hard time doing that.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing.
A lot of people who like, I've read the book. I'm like, oh, cool. Did you find, what's your why statement? They're like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's hard.
I've seen that.
I mean, I think, and like I said,
hard.
like you mentioned, we were talking the other day about this. I think you've heard similar things from people.
Yep, all the time. Yeah. It's a very abstract conversation, like my why. I mean, it makes sense conceptually, and I think that's when you say, like, if you watch Simon Sinek's talk, you're like, oh my gosh, that makes total sense. But then you turn it back on yourself and you're like, what is my why? Why? Yeah. Is it supposed to be like this really cool, like life-changing thing? Is it supposed to be just something like really practical, like my family is my why?
Right.
I don't know.
Kind of the idea is when people, Simon Sinek's, as he unpacks it, he would say that when you understand your why and you kind of put it out there to the marketplace, when people who identify with your why because they have similar values, you will kind of attract to marry Simon Sinek and Seth Godin. You'll kind of find your tribe.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Putting your why out there because people with similar values and such. But what Simon Sinek would say is people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So that's one of his quotes. Another one of his quotes is, the goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. And I totally am on board with that.
Yep, I do too.
I
am too. I would see this. I was thinking of like an example, like in real estate, since that's, a lot of my background was in real estate. Like to say that I sell houses doesn't, I don't do that anymore, but for an agent to say I sell houses, people don't care. But when you say like, look, I really feel like we've lost touch with what a community is for, and we don't say hi to our neighbors anymore. And I really feel like it's important to have community. That's something I believe, and other people have that same belief. So when they hear that I believe that, I become like the person they want to sell their house with because we have the same belief.
Right. And so in that particular case, you could easily make that jump into this person's why is, they want to help people connect in community. Totally. I just happen to sell houses.
Right.
That's a perfect example of understanding your why. And actually that one's very, makes a lot of sense. And I think people could easily connect with that quote unquote why. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is not to kind of poo-poo, Simon Sinek's approach, because I think it's great, but I think I know why people get stuck. And so the title of the podcast today is Before You Start with Why.
Nice. I like it.
I wanted to talk about something that I feel like is more important to understand first, and then you can get into your why. Or if you've really got your why down, you need to take a step back and really think about this first piece of it. I feel like I said, a lot of people feel really stuck to figure out their why. And when they put their why, quote unquote, out into the marketplace, and many times that's in the form of, they'll use this why statement in the form of like a mission statement, where they'll put their why. They're really excited about it. They'll put their why on the header of their website, or, you know, the first thing that you see when you look at a print campaign, or, you know, they'll plaster it on the side of the wall or on the wall when you walk into their business, because they're so excited about this why statement. And I think many times people turn the why statement into kind of another version of a mission statement.
Right. It sounds really wordsmithy too, a lot of times.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think people are using the why statement as the thing that they're putting out in front of the marketplace, and the marketplace in many times are not reciprocating the excitement of that why. So people get frustrated, and people are feeling stuck on like how to make that connection using this why statement, and like, man, people just don't get it, or it's not making that impact that I wanted it to make. You know, what's wrong? And I think the reason why is many times that why is wrapped around the curse of knowledge. So we put this why statement out there, but we're using sometimes inside knowledge about really what we do, what problem we solve, what our product actually does for our customers. And that curse of knowledge is just to kind of back up on, we talked about the curse of knowledge before, is when your business is 2 inches in front of your face every day, all day long, you use inside language, you use shop talk, you use those kind of nomenclature or terminology. You think it's clear, but it's not. Because you understand what that word means, but the customer or the marketplace doesn't. So you have that curse of knowledge.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times these why statements are full of some of that curse of knowledge. It makes sense to the team. It makes sense to those people inside the four walls of the business. I think I think mission statements are great. I think why statements are great. But I would say that the why statement is more for the people inside your business, and a statement about the problem you solve is more for the marketplace. So I want to give you an example. There's a group that we recently did you and I actually looked at this together. They have a why statement. That sounds good. But I'll just read it to you, and we'll talk about it. So it's a networking group, and it says, the mission is to lead a movement of like-minded service-based entrepreneurs and business leaders. Our commitment is to educate, equip, and empower our members so that they are inspired to create and design legacy behind the business. It's a networking group. And so again, there's a lot of really strong, meaty, really powerful words there. But unless I really understand why this networking group is different from the next, it really is not connected.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And so I think that before this tribe that you're trying to find, that you want them to understand your why because it lines up with their values, your values line up with their values, and you want them to follow you. Essentially, that's what we're doing in business, is we're basically putting our hand out there and saying, hey, I want you to follow me to the solution that you've been looking for. Trust me, let me take you by the hand and follow me. But before people follow you, they need to recognize that you have empathy for their problem. So to me, I think that before you start with why, you need to understand what problem you solve. And I think that people are more willing to follow you when they recognize that you have a solution for their problem, and when they see that you have empathy for their problem. So in this particular case, I think that if they wanted to use that why statement on the inside of their four walls, the inside of their business, to motivate their team, because again, the team understands what they do, that's great. And if they want to put it on their website, or if you want to put your why statement on your website or on your print or on your print material or in a digital marketing space somewhere, you can do that. But don't forget to unpack how you solve your customer's problem.
Right. Right. Well, I think that goes to I think the problem almost includes the why, like you know what I mean? Like, why do you do it? We typically do something because it's in response to a problem. That's why we do it. We do it because we don't like it this way, but this way it doesn't work. This is why we do it this way.
Right. Exactly. And so as I was preparing for this, this talk, I thought, well, okay, if I was helping this business, this networking group, do marketing, come up with like a website in particular, you know, it's what we do mostly is we help businesses clarify their message, and we put most of the time we're working on a website is kind of the piece we deliver. Yeah. I would encourage them to start with a statement like this first. This is the first thing, or one of the first things that your customer would see before they see this why statement. And then I'll read the why statement afterwards. So I think if you started with something like this: many entrepreneurs and business leaders feel lost and disconnected in our current marketplace. They long for networking that is less about empty leads and more about making real connections that grow their business. Your networking group should be a wealth of resource, not a waste of time.
That's good.
Master Networks' mission is to lead a movement of like-minded service-based entrepreneurs and business leaders. Our commitment is to educate, equip, and empower our members so that they are inspired to create and design a legacy beyond the business. Did the why statement seem to hit a little harder at your heart?
It framed it better. Like with that first statement framed the second statement, I was like able to relate to it more, you know?
Exactly. And that's kind of my point, is if you're going to do the why exercise, and I think you should, I think it's a great thing that Simon Sinek has come out with. Don't use that as your cornerstone or your linchpin of your marketing. That why statement is really for your internal team, or once somebody recognizes you as their guide to their solution. Start with the problem, and then you can introduce them into why you do what you do.
Yeah, it's really good. I love that. I think that I remember Simon Sinek's talk, and he was like, look, if you start with why, and then you move out to the what and the how, and he did it in his talk. Like, he actually gave an example.
Yeah, I was like, the circles, and it starts with how is on the outside, or why is on the outside, how's in the middle. Sorry,
why is in the middle? Why is in the middle, right?
Yeah, what's on the outside?
Yeah.
And then how, and then why? Yeah.
Because I think his example was Apple Computer, and he had a great one. I can't restate it here because I don't remember, but I was like, that is so good.
Yeah.
And he compared it to some other one, and you're like, wow, that really makes a difference. Anyway, but that's the same point. Like you started with the why, with the reframe. What did you call that? The thing that you wrote, what did you call that? Like the problem statement? Or?
Yeah. State the problem that you solve. Yeah. So, you know, you and I are in marketing, we're in networking, we are in the business space, and we feel very disconnected from time to time.
Yes, totally. And I would even say what you wrote feels more like a why statement to me than the other statement. Yeah. Because it includes the problem.
Yeah.
The other one felt more like a mission statement in that it was like, this is where we're going, but why are we going there? Well, we're going there because what you said in your problem statement, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like I said, I think this why movement is turning into another way to say the mission statement. The mission statement's been around forever. And our fathers and grandfathers, their companies had mission statements. And I bet you if you asked Simon Sinek, he would go, no, it's not a mission statement. It's different than that. No. But I think as people are trying to unpack what this means for them, they're turning it into just a glorified mission statement.
They're calling it something new, but it sounds the same.
Exactly.
Like they slapped a new name on it. But I think our patterns of trying to articulate stuff still is being stuck in old patterns of trying to articulate stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't forget the way that you will stand out in the marketplace, the way you will separate yourself from your competitors is when you talk about the problem you solve, and you talk about it early, you talk about it often, and you have empathy. We had a show a couple episodes ago, The Human Side of Magic, and we talked about that magic moment. Those magic moments are created when you have empathy for your customers.
Right. We also did an episode not too long ago about pain. And how much pain to put in something. And it's like a recipe, you know, there's a pinch of salt. It's not a cup of salt. But I think when you have that why, that problem statement, there's enough pain in that. I almost feel like, and I don't know this, and I haven't created some recipe for it. You've probably studied this more than I have, but when there's a pinch of pain in a problem statement or a why statement, it actually lands better because people can relate to the pain. They're like, oh yeah, like I have been lonely, or yeah, I have been whatever.
Yeah.
That's why this is so refreshing.
Yeah. And
another
thing to think about is everybody wants to put us into a certain category. So, you know, I have a company that we build websites and we do website hosting. So that is a big, humongous bucket that we fall into the web design, web agency company, or vertical or that space in the marketplace. You know, if you're in real estate, you fall into the real estate bucket. If you're in, you know, if you're a dentist, you fall into the dentist bucket. Now, what can we do to differentiate ourselves to fall into a certain category within those big, huge, enormous buckets? Because if you're just kind of floating around in that space with everybody else, all the rest of your competitors, but people can't put you into a specific category, and you're just going to be noisy like everybody else. And so I think like with this particular example, you and I have both been in multiple different networking groups, and we're actually both in a networking group that's put on by Master Networks. And you and I both were attracted to Master Networks because they think differently than a lot of other networking groups. And they absolutely do exactly what I said in that problem statement, where, you know, they long for, you know, rather than empty leads, I want to make real connections. And that's something that Master Networks does, you know, very well. So in this big space of networking groups, that big, huge bucket, Master Networks has really given themselves a niche because they are very focused on more than just leads, more than just following a formula, more than just doing the same old thing from week to week to week.
Right.
I know that, you know that, thus that little curse of knowledge thing comes in there. And when we read their recent why statement, we're like, oh yeah, I get it. But we've been in Master Networks for the last year. And we know those things that they're speaking to. But if I'm presenting this to somebody new, you know, you know, out in the marketplace, or, you know, somebody who I think might be a good fit for our group, I would absolutely skip that whole why statement and say that problem statement, because we do feel disconnected many times as business leaders. We do feel like, you know, this group and that networking group are all about leads, and I feel like I'm wasting my time.
Totally.
And it hits home.
I was going to say, I think maybe the litmus test for an effective, I don't need to put it in right and wrong, but for an effective problem statement or even a why statement is that, like, you'll know, like when people hear it, they go, oh my God, like, yes, like you got it. Like it's clear, it's simple. You get it. They get it. It doesn't sound wordsmithy. It's just like super clear. I think that's one of the things I love about that you guys have added into your stuff, helping people clarify their message, because like when you get it, people get it.
And that's exactly what I'm referring to about that little category within a category. You know, when you go, oh, I get it, or, oh, that makes sense, then you've just really, in that big, huge bucket that everybody else is swimming in, you got a really specific place in that person's head. And not only are they excited about what category you're in, but they can tell other people like, hey, in that big, huge, you know, bucket of real estate or website companies or networking groups, these guys are different. Everybody's looking for something different. They're looking for, and not just different for the sake of being different. We're looking for ways to make authentic, real connections. And when I can understand how your product fits into my life and solves my problems, then that really makes sense. And I know where to categorize you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So good. What a great episode.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I think everybody's interested in the conversation of why. I think we do get stuck when we start to try to implement it. And I think this episode has been very instructive about, and I love the example too, because it gives us a place to kind of like like everybody listening to this could go write what they think their why statement is, and then come
Yeah.
back and listen to your 2 examples and be like, oh, I see how I need to change what I just wrote.
Yeah.
And until you get something that resonates or feels there's empathy in it, so that the other person can feel it, you know?
Absolutely.
So, well, Pete, where do people go if they want to work with you guys to clarify their message or really start to work on their why statement?
Well, if you haven't checked out the past episodes of the podcast, you can search for The Human Side of Marketing on it's on Stitcher, on Google Podcasts, on the iTunes store.
Yeah.
You can go to our website, which is welldressedwalrus.com. Or I would think probably the best thing to do is let's talk. Let's have a conversation. And you can go to clarifymymarketing.com and schedule a time to connect with me. I actually help businesses do exactly what I did here. You know, come in, look at that mission statement that they feel like they know is a little prickly and slippery and they don't really know why it's not connecting, and actually fix it. And that's just the start. And then we have actually a very simple to follow 7-part framework that we use to help businesses clarify their message. And that's something that you can use not only on your why statement or your mission statement or your problem solving statement, whatever you want to call it. You can use it in every part of your marketing too. Think of it kind of like ad libs, when you know what pieces of your marketing message to put in the right place, whether it's a tweet or it's a 300-word blog post, whether it's 60 seconds at a networking event or 60 minutes of a presentation. You always know what to say by going through this 7-part framework of unpacking. And really what it is, it's unpacking the story of your business and how your customer is affected by the product that you solve, that you have, and what problem you solve. How does your story fit into your customer's life? And that's really the magic there.
Love it. So good. So clarifymywebsite.com,
clarifymymarketing.com.
You have the other one too, don't you, actually?
I do. Yeah, we kind of went away from the Clarify My Website.
Right.
Trying to cast a bigger net to clarify my marketing.
Yeah, and which I actually prefer, because I think it starts there. I think you've got to clarify the marketing first before you move it into an asset like a website. So clarifymymarketing.com, that's perfect. You guys can connect with Kurt there. Kurt, thanks for another great episode.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
See ya.
See ya.